I believe one of the hardest things to do as a creative is unwind at night. And over the past years, I've done many things from pretty much smoking weed and having a couple beers just to like get the stress of the day out of the way so I could finally go to sleep and do it all again the next day. However, that led to a lot of burnout. So in this video today, I want to share with you my very simple routine that I've been doing over the last 30 days to unwind at night, get actually a good night's rest, and wake up the next morning in about half the amount of time. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to this channel, give this video a like at any point I create value, and if you got a question, drop in the comments below so I can answer it. So let's get started. Number one, what have I been doing differently at night? And the basis of this is I've cut out alcohol, I've cut out weed, I've cut out nicotine, I've cut out any of my vices just so I could simply allow myself the time to wind down, because essentially those do give you a feeling of rest or taking away or bringing you to a state of ease. They essentially screw with your sleep pattern. And if you have, any caffeine after like 2 p.m. or any nicotine, I think an hour before bed, and even like weed, even though it does help you really feel comfortable, at least it makes me feel very relaxed, it did not give me a good sleep quality. I think it actually kind of messed up my sleep quality. So the number one thing you gotta do is cut that stuff out and start replacing it with something as simple as tea. I think tea really helped me, and ashwagandha is absolutely incredible, because if you're somebody like me who has used a lot of caffeine in their life, around 8 o'clock at night, I just get this surge of energy, and it's essentially my body releasing cortisol, which is essentially adrenaline. And it kind of is confusing because I'm like, I'm ready for bed, but my body's like, here's some free adrenaline. And I'm like, why don't you do that in the morning? But I can't fix that. So something you can actually do to block cortisol or adrenaline is ashwagandha, and that can be in a tea or in a capsule. Either way, that works incredible. And then another thing was just simply bedtime tea. That stuff knocked me out and made me feel amazing. But what else have I been doing is I've gotten a nice little routine. So outside of that first one, the routine is absolutely crucial. And the first thing that I'll do is journal. And essentially what I'll journal is I'll answer, I think, 3 questions, and it's how did I show up for myself today? And the second question is, did I get that one thing done? Why or why not? And then the last question is, what do I plan on doing tomorrow? Or what is that one thing for tomorrow? So I do that every night, and it's nice to reflect on the day and be like, you can address how you showed up for yourself. You get to reflect on the full day and understand all the stuff that you did that you might have just been doing in the process of knocking it out. But when you take time to reflect on it, you're like, damn, I accomplished a lot today. No wonder I'm tired. Shit, this makes sense, And then that one thing, reflecting on that one thing, some days I say more than not I get that one thing done, but then other days I swear to God, the universe is just throwing me monkey wrenches, and I'm like, and I have to get all that shit done, and I still will get that one thing done 90% of the time, but the other 10 I'm like, damn, I didn't get it done. So then the next day I'll do it. But what I've seen is the days that I don't get my one thing done, I didn't prioritize myself. I prioritized everybody else first, and that is a continual lesson that shows up. But in journaling that, I guess I've realized it, and I guess where I'm getting with that part is to when you prioritize yourself and you do what you need to do, it's a lot easier to sleep at night. But number 2 is stretching. Stretching has been huge here, and I can't describe what it does. I think it just puts me in a parasympathetic state or a resting and digesting state, which the keyword is resting, but stretching literally for about 5 minutes has been incredible. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to be a stretch master or a pro at it. It's literally just touching my toes, doing a little twist left, a little twist right, open the head, literally just understanding where all the stress is in my body and simply just connecting to my breath and putting it in my body so that I can essentially just allow it to relax and release. And I think that's been a big impact. And then the third thing I've been doing has been no phone an hour before bed. And this has been essential, because essentially what I've seen in the past is I'm texting on my phone, or I'm scrolling on Instagram, or I'm just getting cheap ass dopamine hits. And the last thing I want before bed is dopamine. I want melatonin, which actually blue lights and screens. So whether it be a laptop, a phone, LED lights, all those blue lights actually give you a fake sense of daylight, which wakes you up, which actually blocks melatonin, because melatonin, essentially you need to be in darkness and away from light, because that puts your body in a more natural sleep state. here's an added bonus is like, I don't think sleep effect or seasonal affect disorder is a real thing because we have less sunlight, so your body has more melatonin, so you naturally want to sleep more instead of forcing yourself to be awake. But essentially, like, get away from the blue screen or the blue lights of your cell phone screen, your computer screen, like lights. Just cut out all the stuff. And what can you do instead is the last part, read. Reading has really helped me on so many levels. And I'm not a big reader. I'd rather listen to an Audible book, but reading, I've noticed, like, progressively is the last thing I'll do because it'll help my body start to wind down. And though it is something slower, I need that slower progression to almost feel like more relaxed. And then, if you're intuitive too, something that I've seen, like when I read, I get into a channel and like a ton of intuitive thoughts continually just come in. And I'm like, holy smokes. Like half the time I'll be a couple pages in and I'll be like, oh shoot, like what have we been reading? Because I just get all these ideas. So I always keep a pen and paper close because a lot of the ideas that I get from reading help my mind unwind for the night, and I can jot them down to start the next day with. But it also just is like pretty cool intuitive ideas that come in that typically don't come in when I'm scrolling on Instagram or doing anything else mindless that is actually waking me up instead of helping me land. But overall, all these methods really help me just connect to slowing down, because as you guys can probably tell in these videos, I'm a pretty high energy guy and I actually like to go up instead of down. But essentially in stretching and reading and journaling, it essentially has led me in a path of grounding and relaxing to get in a state to go to bed. And I've noticed that my sleep is way better. I'm lucid dreaming like crazy. My dreams have been wild, which actually means I'm getting into a really deep dream state or sleep state. And I'm waking up in the mornings with a ton more energy. And instead of taking 2 hours to get up, it's only taken about, well, I'd say 1 hour at the max, but it's actually been about, I'd say probably 15 to 20 minutes lately. And it's absolutely been incredible. So guys, be sure to give it a shot, and if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. But until next time, peace out. Love y'all.